Thank you for coming. My name is Hayda. I'm a postdoctoral fellow with the Bioinformatics Lab at the University of Quebec in Montreal. I'll present to you today a project, the latest project I've been working on, which is in its infancy. That's titled Biomarker-based Learning for Disease Prediction in Precision Dairy Farming. So why would we be interested in predicting risks in the dairy farming field? As Dr. Lord mentioned before, the relevance of the agriculture sector in Canada, dairy farming is the second largest Canadian agriculture sector. Metabolic diseases are shown to have a great impact on dairy production, animal treatment, and animal welfare. And also metabolomic profiling has been shown to identify discriminative biomarkers that could predict risks in dairy farming. And by predicting risks, we could potentially lower treatment costs, reduce production loss, and improve animal well-being. So overall, our research question here is, given the current animal profile and its history, could we collect metabolites from blood samples, create classification models to help us predict risks in an upcoming lactation? So for our context here, we really started from ground zero. We didn't even have any data previously. So there is a total of 50 participating farms in the province of Quebec, an average of 24 animals per herd, so 1,200 in total. For these animals, we had access to their current profile and their history records, so the health events that were registered for them, their milk production, the milk quality, number of pregnancies, and such. For these animals, blood samples were collected at the dry period, which is the period between a previous lactation and the next one. Metabolomic profiling was obtained through mass spectrometry for these blood samples, and these animals were followed up on an upcoming lactation. So in our work here, we can summarize our main challenges. For instance, due to the complexity of the task, we're handling heterogeneous biological data and having to integrate them. It is also a challenge to keep data collection compliance on multiple farms, that they use different practices, different ways of working, and also the variability in different biomarkers, in which certain metabolites may be a wide range of a given metabolite may be associated with both healthy and unhealthy states. Other challenges are related to cost. So qualified personnel is needed to draw blood samples in the field. It's not that cheap, neither simple to store and transport blood samples from into the lab. And of course, the mass spec analysis on its own, which is not cheap. So it is in our interest here to identify metabolites can be discriminative for the task, because it can be expensive to obtain. And also the scarcity. We're working with a limited number of animals and farms. For these animals, there are missing and incomplete data that we have to handle. And as the nature of the task, the data is imbalanced. Certain events, certain diseases will always happen more often than others. So in the real case scenario, all our data set is imbalanced. So to give you an idea of our data instances for in our methodology, so the animal profile contains health events that were registered for that animal, the number of lactations that he had, the treatments that he received, the milk controls with the quantity of milk produced, the quality, percentage of fat, protein, and such. The animal history will have the occurrence of diseases that animal had in the past, the number of lactation days the animal was at when that disease occurred, the milk controls compared to expert curated thresholds, the fat protein ratio in the milk, also if the milk quantity produced was above or below the herd average for that time stamp. And of course, over more than 70 metabolite types that were analyzed. So our data sets cover actually 3 different prediction tasks. So risk of diseases, which we design as a binary classification, reproduction performance, and production loss, which are both multi-class classifications. So for these data sets, we obtain expert curated labels by the veterinarians collaborating with us. And for these data set instances, we stratified the labels per task. And we apply the split of 60% for training, 20 validation, and 20 test. So as you can see, our data set to predict disease risks is fairly balanced. We are considering a set of target diseases curated by the veterinarians that includes anorexia, ketosis, lameness, milk fever, mastitis, and others. For the reproduction performance, you can see that the data set is not quite as balanced, but it's also not technically that imbalanced. The least represented class has around 18% of the data set, and the most common class has almost 35%. However, our production loss data set is fairly imbalanced. You can see that the least present class has 2% only of the data set, and the most common class has more than 60%. So for generating our classification models, we consider 2 different attribute sets. So using only the animal profile and history, and the animal profile history combined with the metabolites, we apply 2 different data transformations, normalization and a standard scalar, and we used 5 different classifiers. Sorry for the overlap. So at the end, we generated over 300 supervised learning models, and I'll present you the preliminary results we have so far of the best performing models. So for disease risk, I'll present here the performances we obtain using the animal profile and history only, and the animal profile and history combined with the metabolites. At least for disease risk, it seems that the animal profile and history only perform better than if combined with the metabolites. For the reproduction performance, the same. The results for the attribute set with and without the metabolites. And for most of the classes, the attribute set containing metabolites performs better. And for production loss, similarly, the results using metabolites seem to perform better. However, what we learned so far is that even though the metabolites seem to improve the predictions for both production loss and reproduction performance, the improvement doesn't seem to be strikingly better. So the benefit of metabolite attributes may not outweigh its costs. It is to still be studied. The animal profile and history seem to be enough to get a reasonable performance to predict disease risk. And the class imbalances show an important effect on prediction performance. So when we want to further evaluate our other sampling methods to handle the imbalances of the different classes and identify potential biases that might be added to a data set in terms of the herd to which the animal is a part of. Certain animals might be also introducing some bias as well as some specific health interventions. We are also planning on using some feature engineering methods to use metabolite levels as opposed to the raw values. And we'll be following up the pilot application of our preliminary models in the farms, in the field, on the next upcoming months for fall semester, I believe. So I'll wrap it up here. I would like to thank our lab members from the bioinformatics lab at UQAM, our collaborators from the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine at Université de Montréal, and the Animal Science faculty at McGill. Our funding was provided by the Association de médecins vétérinaires praticiens de Québec, the SHR, MyTax, and Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hayda, for that. We have 2 minutes for questions. So if anyone in the audience would like to ask a question, please come up to the microphone, and I'll be monitoring the online Q&A in case there's questions. So please go ahead, Ryan.
Great talk. Thank you for that. I'm just wanting to get a bit more understanding about why you chose disease as a binary classification, because I saw up there, say, mastitis and placental retention and a few things that were both infectious and non-infectious. There's quite a bit of variability there. Why did you choose a binary versus, say, no disease, infectious, non-infectious, multi-class?
We did have multi-class models for diseases. However, due to the imbalance, and some of those diseases are very, very rare on our data set because we have a limited number of animals, limited number of health events, and disease occurrence in general. The multi-class models really suffered with the imbalance. So for the pilot models, we're treating it as a binary design, because the idea of the first pilot models is to just give some support to the veterinarians in the field to analyze if they will need to look into that animal more closely for the upcoming lactation or not. But we have attempted, and we will work on improving our multi-class classification for the disease specifically.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.